Hello and good evening to our wonderful viewers who are watching PACIS TV at home. It's another episode for my home show. It's a wonderful evening, during this program or during this time of my home show, we bring you wonderful topics that can help you to grow in your faith and your day-to-day life. And today is just another amazing evening that we are going to share. Our topic is just a fun one. It's about mission, it's about sanctity, and we're going to learn a lot. I'm your host, Celestina Ward, and I can't wait to have you follow the program from the beginning to the end, because we have an amazing servant of God with me in studio today. So therefore, I'm going to ask him to introduce himself, and then we can continue with the discussion. Do not change the channel. Just keep watching PACIS TV from the beginning to the end, and you're going to learn a lot. So thank you so much, Father, for availing yourself this evening, and welcome to Rwanda, welcome to PACIS TV, and I know that our viewers this evening are going to learn a lot from you. So kindly just introduce yourself. You can tell us more about yourself, the country you're coming from. Yes, please.
Thank you very much. I'm Father Daniel from Germany, and I greet all the viewers of PACIS TV here in Rwanda. And I'm very happy about this opportunity to share some thoughts with you about sanctity and mission. I'm a priest from the community Communio Sanctorum. It's a small spiritual community that tries to unite contemplation and mission. And up to now, we do not have a project in Africa. That's why I'm here to look for an opportunity that we can maybe start something here in this country. And as I said, I'm very happy about the opportunity to speak with you today and to introduce the viewers of PACIS TV to the charism of our community, and to speak about this very interesting topic about sanctity and mission.
Wow, Father. So before we continue, could you just define what is mission and what is sanctity? I know it's all about giving ourselves and also answering the call of God, but from your view, what is a mission and what is sanctity?
I think the more difficult one is sanctity. We use that word a lot in the liturgy before the Eucharistic prayer. Every time we say 3 times that God is holy. Mutagatifu in Kenya and Rwanda. And in the original meaning of that word in Hebrew, it means separated. God is completely separated, completely different than this world. But He wants to interact with us. And it's our call to be separated, to be different from many perspectives that we find in this world. A very interesting part in Holy Scripture that gives us a description of what sanctity is the beginning of Romans chapter 12. There St. Paul says that we should not think like the world. We should unite our thinking to God to discern His will. And I think this is the core of sanctity. It means in this world sometimes to swim against the current and to be different, to be separated from some perspectives that we find in modern society, and also to be separated from sin, of course. And regarding mission, that's one of the cores of Christianity. We are invited by Jesus Himself to share His message. That's why His last words before ascending into heaven were, "Go to all the nations and make disciples."
Wow. Yeah, that is right, because you find the separation, because as human beings, or the current world we are in today, we struggle a lot with sanctity, because there are things that we have now normalized in our day-to-day lives. We feel like it is okay to live such kind of life. And sometimes, as much as we fight sin, we still end up in a situation that is not, it's not right, or we end up committing some sins which is not right. So I think it's kind of a big struggle. How long have you been a priest?
I was ordained last year in November. So
Okay.
I still have not completed an entire year as priest.
Oh.
Next Sunday I will celebrate my anniversary. That's why I return to Germany tomorrow.
Your first year anniversary?
Yeah, my first year anniversary.
Happy anniversary in advance,
Thank
Father.
you very
And how
much.
do you feel serving as a young priest?
I experienced so many things in this first year. The 2 months here in Rwanda, mainly in Kibeo.
Oh, okay.
And before that time, I was serving in Ecuador, in South America, because there are the main projects of our community. And I spent most of the time there in a small parish where I attended so many people. I visited the sick. I celebrated many masses, the baptisms, the funerals, all that is essential to being a priest. And I'm very happy that this experience does not end with this first year as a priest, but will continue, hopefully, for many years.
So when you talk about projects that your community is conducting, what are the main projects that you're focusing on? Because I know that every congregation normally has a different vision, like the Don Bosco, the Salesians mostly deal with the youth and children education and stuff like that. So with your community, what are the main projects that you guys do?
In Ecuador, we have our own school, a school that belongs to our community and a bit similar to the priests of St. John Bosco that you mentioned.
Okay.
We try there to educate the youth and to prepare them to live the Christian ideal in a difficult world.
Okay.
But our main vision is to introduce lay people to a contemplative life, especially through the adoration of the Blessed Sacrament. Wherever we come, we try to bring the people to the Blessed Sacrament, to the Holy Eucharist, so that through this through this greatest of all of the sacraments, they can become saints, they can become holy. And that's why, for example, in El Salvador, we have a house with perpetual adoration. For already several years, our sisters, with the help of many lay people around the monastery, adore continually, day and night, the Lord present in the Blessed Sacrament. So to introduce that is the main charism of our community.
Okay, so contemplative, whereby lay people can just go and adore the whole day. The place is open.
Exactly.
Yeah, throughout the day, throughout the night.
Yeah.
Oh, that's amazing. On part of contemplative, sometimes like Opus Dei, I know also whereby lay people are encouraged to live their day-to-day life, sanctifying themselves and in prayers, contemplating. Yeah, so that's very interesting to know. And as the congregation, you said you are only 7 priests so far?
Yeah, we are a very small community.
Okay.
But as I said, our charism is to introduce the lay people to that contemplation. And that's why in all over the world, we have many lay people and also priests from other communities and from the diocese that help us in spreading that mission. So maybe the core of our community is quite small, but we have many people around the world that help us. And for example, in that house in El Salvador, there are only 3 of our sisters, but with the help of the lay people, they can realize this wonderful project that day and night the Lord is adored.
Oh, so there is also, now you have the priest and the sisters at the same time, from the same community.
Exactly.
So where was it founded? In Germany or?
The project started in Germany with a priest from Germany and a priest from Spain.
Okay.
And they gathered some youth around them in Germany and introduced them to what I tried to explain, this idea to live also as a lay person, a life of contemplation. But then the 2 received the call to do mission in South America.
Okay.
And that's why they went to Ecuador, because their German bishop was founding a new diocese. And that's why today the main projects of our community are in Ecuador.
Okay. That's nice to hear, and we can't wait to have you people in Rwanda. So this was like you are the pilot coming to survey Rwanda. Rwanda is a homely place, and you will never regret coming to Rwanda. I believe even the 2 months that you've been around, you've enjoyed yourself being in Rwanda. So Father Daniel, when we speak about sanctity in today's world, what does the church mean by personal holiness?
As I said, becoming holy means to be separated from sin, separated from the thinking of this world. And this is something that every Christian is called to. Sometimes even Catholics think that being a saint is only a vocation for a few. But it's not like that. The Church clearly teaches that all of us are called to be saints.
Yeah.
Already in the Old Testament, God said to his people, "Be holy like I am holy."
Yeah.
And this is for everybody. But the way to reach this sanctity can be very different for every individual. If we contemplate the saints that the Church venerates in the liturgy, we will see that they lived very different lives.
Yeah.
There are saints who separated themselves completely from the world to live in the desert or to live in a monastery far away from society. But there are also saints who lived in the midst of the world, in the midst of a sinful world. Some were priests, some were religious, some had a family, some were consecrated virgins. And if we talk about personal holiness, I encourage every one of the viewers to start this journey of searching the way of sanctity that God has prepared for them. And I'm convinced by the Church teaching that there's a way for everyone listening here to this program.
Yeah, that's very true, because just recently we celebrated the feast day of St. Elizabeth of Hungary. And when you read her story, she was married, so which means she was a lay person, but even in her marriage, she dedicated herself to serve the poor, the sick, and even when the husband died and left her, she was a very young widow, she now fully dedicated her life to serve the poor and the needy in her society, which is something that as nowadays or day-to-day Christian, we should imitate and emulate and see as lay people, how can we also live such kind of a life? Now, how does the spirituality of Communio Sanctorum understand and promote sanctity among its members? How does your community promote sanctity among your members? You've talked about a community with sisters and you guys and you priests serving in South America. Yeah. So how do you promote sanctity among the members?
Inside of our community, our way to sanctity is the silence and the adoration of the Blessed Sacrament.
Okay.
Because in many languages, the Blessed Sacrament is called the most holy of sacraments. In Spanish, for example, the language that they speak in Ecuador, the Blessed Sacrament is called Santísimo, which means most of holies.
Most of holies.
So if you want to become holy, you have to get close to the one who is the most holy of all. And that's why in our rule of life, we have this idea that if it's possible, of course it's not possible always, but if it's possible to spend every day 3 hours with the Blessed Sacrament. That for our consecrated members is the way to sanctity.
Wow. I think it's going to be a little bit challenging saying 3 hours every day. Okay, it is very possible, but you find like lay people like me, we are more focused on work, socio-economic development than the hours that we're supposed to dedicate. To be honest, like personally I go for Mass every morning and we normally have adoration afterwards, but I can't spend more than 15 minutes. I'm always on my watch, like, yeah, I need to go to work, you know. So that is it's also a calling on its own. And I believe those who are doing it, that's a very big sacrifice from our day-to-day life. And in our busy and distracted world, what concrete steps can Christians take to grow in personal holiness? Yeah, like I've just said, I'm always on my watch, like what time am I going to finish and rush to work? So what are some of the concrete steps that we can use as Christians to help us develop that personal holiness?
I think the first step is to recognize what I tried to explain, that there are different ways to sanctity. As I said, these 3 hours, they are specific to the consecrated members of our community. And we do not expect that from every lay person that tries to live our spirituality. Here we distinct very carefully between the members that made their formal vows and the lay people who come to our community. So the first step is to recognize there are different ways to sainthood. The second way to sanctity, from my perspective, is to do small things with great love. I encourage every viewer to study the life of Saint Therese from Lisieux. She is exactly the saint who recognized, I do not have to do extraordinary things to be a saint. It's sufficient to do ordinary things with extraordinary love. And that can be in the family, in the workplace, and wherever has God put us. And most of the time it's not what we do, but the intention with that we do it that makes the difference.
Yeah, that's very true. Being intentional with everything that we do. And also we don't have to do big things. We start with small, changing a life at a time, helping that needy person, one person at a time. We don't have to support the entire community. So which is, I think, that is something that we need to learn. That always we need to know that a journey of 1,000 miles starts with one step at a time. So every day we try to endeavor to do one simple thing, but it should be intentional. Wow, that is very great. I think it's something that I've learned, being intentional with every simple thing or activity that I do or an activity that I carry out. So what role do prayers, sacraments, and community life play in shaping an authentic journey towards sanctity?
All of the 3 are essential. Prayer, sacraments, and community life. In one way or another, we need all of the 3. Let's start with prayer. Prayer is essential because at the end, sanctity is a gift. It's not something that we produce only with our own forces and our own strength. It's something that God grants to us in His mercy. And whatever God gives us, normally we receive it through prayer. So an important part in the way of sanctity is simply ask God, make me a saint. A very simple prayer, but it can be very powerful. The sacraments are also very important in the life of every Christian because it are symbols and realization of grace that Jesus Himself has given us. Baptism, communion, and confirmation are for all of us, and then there are also the sacraments for specific states of life, like matrimony and the ordination to the priesthood, and the anointing of the sick whenever we are spiritually or corporally sick and need healing. And because Jesus Himself instituted these sacraments, we cannot go around them. We need them. And community life is also important. Maybe some of the viewers think right now that there are saints who separated themselves from the world and from every type of community. But in the end, even, for example, the fathers who lived in the desert, like Saint Anthony, in one way or another, they always had a connection to the community. First of all, because they prayed for the community. Not only for themselves, but for the Christians who are in the world. And in a second aspect, mostly also through their obedience through the structure of the church. Our community has projects in Lebanon, and there's a saint who now becomes very famous in Europe and in Latin America, who is called Saint Charbel. And he lived in a monastery in the mountains of Lebanon. And most of the time he was alone in his small part of the monastery. But he only did this way of life because he received permission from his superiors.
Okay.
So in that way he was also connected to the community.
To the community.
Yeah.
Wow.
And that's why all of us, in whatever way of sanctity God has granted to us, we need the community of the church.
Okay.
So as I said, all three, prayer, sacraments and community, in the end are essential. And if one of the three is missing, the way of sanctity will be difficult.
It will be difficult, very true. Yeah, we need a community. This comes to our small Christian communities. Yeah, we call them basic Christian communities, or Muriangoriamezo for those who are watching at home. So we need each other. We need a community that we can come together, pray together, and always share. So you've just shared something that is very interesting about having a community or having a place in a project in Lebanon. I know these are Muslim-dominated areas. How are you or the community surviving in such kind of area, being that it's an Islamic-dominated area?
Lebanon has a very interesting history.
Okay.
And there are quite a lot of Christians in the country of Lebanon.
Really?
Because there are the Maronite Christians. They have their own form of celebrating the Mass. I could see that when I was there in 2022.
Okay.
I saw the Maronite Christians celebrating in Arabic the Mass in a little bit a different way than we do it in the Latin Rite, but they are united to the Pope. They are Catholic in the fullest sense. And these Christians exist in Lebanon, and the country of Lebanon even has a part in his constitution that the president always has to be a Christian. So it's right, there are a lot of Muslims, and sadly sometimes there's tension between the Christians and the Muslims. But the country has its Christian roots.
Wow. Yeah. That's interesting to know. We need to make a trip there soon. Yeah, because whenever I hear of Lebanon, you know, Saudi Arabia, all those countries, you're like, okay, these are Islamic-dominated countries, so as a Christian, maybe survival will be hard in such kind of a community or a country. Wow, it's very interesting to learn that we have Christians there and they have a law that protects Christians there. That's amazing to hear. Now, another question that I will ask you, Father, as a Catholic, yeah, you know, we work in different sectors, students and even teachers, bankers. How can we live a holy life in our day-to-day lives? Because you find sometimes in our workplaces it's kind of tricky. You might end up finding yourself in an area whereby you are not supposed to, or doing something that you're not supposed to, but because you want to protect your job or you want to get promotion at your workplace, you end up doing something that is not right. So how can we try to live a sanctity or a holy life in our day-to-day lives as Catholics or even as other Christians as we perform our duties in different sectors, as a student, as a teacher, as a banker, as a policeman, as a soldier, you know, we are all workers, but sometimes it's not easy to maintain holiness. So how can we maintain that, or how can we keep our life of sanctity at our workplaces?
One point I already mentioned, it's doing the small things with great love. What I would like to add specifically in the different workplaces and the different family structures where God has put us is taking great care of the obligations that we have in that state.
Okay.
For example, as a priest, sometimes the people come to me in confession and are very sad because they cannot go to Mass daily, because, for example, a family member is sick and they have to take care of him. And in that case, I always try to teach them, based on your state as a husband, a mother, or father, or wife, in that case, from Monday to Saturday, Taking care of a sick family member is more important than going to daily Mass, because this belongs to the obligation of the state of life that you are in. And that's why I always encourage people to offer up these small duties that come with their place of work or their state in the family as a sacrifice to God as well. Because this can be a pleasing offer to God in a similar way than attending the Holy Mass. It always depends on the state. I, for example, as a priest, when I have to celebrate Mass for the community, this for me has highest priority.
Yeah.
But for a family member, a husband, mother, wife, father, situation might be different. And this is what I would like to encourage the viewers of our program to think carefully about the state of life that God has put me, and then try to live well the obligations that come with that. And you mentioned an interesting point. Sometimes today, especially in the working area, society almost forces us to do things that are against the law of God. And here we have to be strong. And as I said, being holy sometimes means to be different, to be separated, and to not think like the world thinks. And especially here, to not make compromises. I think, for example, of corruption. When I was in Burundi last week, I spoke with the people there how the corruption is a big problem in the country. And to refuse to compromise with this system of evil that sometimes exists inside of society can also be a step to holiness. And if this costs us something, if it is cause of suffering, this can be something that we can unite to the cross of Jesus, and that can make us more holy.
Yeah, I think we need a lot of prayers when it comes to that, because we find ourselves in a society whereby sometimes it's too demanding that you forget about your Christianity, you forget about what the Bible teaches you, because you want to please the society, you want to do what, you want to give what the society wants and not what Christ would wish you to do. And I think this is something that as Christians, on our day-to-day life, I think this is now where we have to sanctify ourselves every morning and evening and tell God, guide me, give me your wisdom, so that whatever that I'm doing throughout the day, be it pleasing unto you. And I think that's why most of us are failing nowadays. Unlike the saints before, like today's readings, it was the first reading from the
Book of Maccabees.
Yes, the book of Maccabees, how these 7 brothers were being persecuted, and the king was promising them a lot of things. And even when the last born, the youngest one, was left, they called the mother to come and talk to him, and they told the mother, you tell him that if he denounces this, he's going to get this and he will be rewarded. And the mother said, you know, how you came to exist in my womb, I don't know. So there is somebody else behind it. And even before the mother finished her statement, the boy declared, I would rather die than denounce my faith. And that is faith. It's amazing, because today, in our today life, when you are faced with persecution, when we are faced with challenges, the first thing is like, no, God, I can't do this. We start cursing, we start speaking against God, we start questioning God, why did you allow it, and stuff like that. So it really needs a lot of courage. It needs a lot of faith in order for us to live such kind of life, but it's not easy. But I think by the grace and mercies of God, we can strive or try to live such kind of a life here. So we speak of moving from personal sanctity to global apostolate. How does holiness naturally lead to mission?
If somebody receives the joy of uniting oneself to the holiness of God, naturally, he hopefully would like to join that joy. It's also with the joys of this world that if we share them, they become even greater. That's why, especially in today's world of social media, we normally share the things that make us happy, because when we see that this joy comes to other persons as well, our joy even increases.
Yeah.
And it's the same with the sanctity. If we experience the great peace of being united with God, we want to share that. And that's how sanctity naturally leads to mission.
Wow. So, like, how do you feel, for example, you visited Rwanda, you've been here for 2 months, you are leaving
yes.
tomorrow?
Yes.
You're flying back to Germany?
Yes.
Yeah, so as you've experienced life in Rwanda, I know you've been into some of our villages and maybe language barrier, and now you go back and you are appointed to come back to Rwanda as a missionary. How do you think that is going to impact your life, or how is it going to affect, okay, it can be in positive or negative way, advantages and disadvantages, because as a missionary, I believe if you're sent into a country that you've never been there before, maybe in terms of food, in terms of, there's so many things that it comes with. How do you think it's going to, like, you're appointed to come and live in Rwanda?
If God willing, we will see. Where He sends us, we go. That's part of the missionary life, to be obedient to whatever God tells us through His to the superiors He has appointed in front of us. Yeah. And I have no doubts that I will enjoy the time here in Rwanda, because these 2 months have already been very fruitful to me. Wow. To be honest, at the beginning, it was a bit difficult for me to leave my own country.
I know.
To first go to Ecuador, where I've been ordained priest, and after that come here to Rwanda. But the sacrifice is worth it, because wherever we are obedient to God's call, in spite of the challenges, He will also give us great joy, great graces. And I'm very impressed here in Rwanda by the hospitality of the people, especially by their faithfulness, to see the full churches, to see how the people sing with joy during the Holy Mass. This is something very encouraging. And that's why now, after these 2 months, I have little doubt that if God really sends me here, I will enjoy the time.
You're looking forward to it. I'm glad that you enjoyed yourself in Rwanda, and you can see that the churches are full. People are yearning, by the way. Our churches are still full, and people are still coming, yearning for the Word of God. And, you know, I remember last year we had a group of people who had come from Austria, and they were saying, like, most of the churches are being closed in some of the countries due to people no longer go to church. So now, if you are sent, like in Germany, I don't know how it is as a missionary in Germany, how would it be comparing to working in Africa? I know you've been here just only 2 months in Africa, and you've only been to Burundi and Rwanda. Yeah, so you've not visited other countries.
In Kenya, I've been as well.
Oh, okay, that's my country. Yeah, so you've visited churches, so how would you compare it?
Yeah, it's very impressive to see, especially the great number of people, and also the joy and the happiness they bring to Mass. And they are very enduring. In Germany, normally there's no Sunday Mass that takes longer than an hour. Here, below 2 hours, normally there's no Sunday Mass. So that's one of the first differences that comes to my mind when I compare Rwanda to my own place in Germany. I think another difference is the structure of the church. Here in Rwanda, the parishes are still very strong. I'm here in the parish of Regina Pacis, and also in Burundi. I've been in different parishes, and also in Kenya, as I mentioned. And there, the life is around the parish church. In Germany, more and more, I see the difference that the people who really have hunger for God, who want to live the faith in a more radical way, do not find their spiritual food in the parish. They go to special spiritual centers like monasteries or houses of retreat. And there in my country, I found the people who really are jealous for God, who want to spread the faith and who want to grow in faith. But sadly, as you mentioned already, for Austria, the local parish in most places is more and more declining.
Yeah, that's what I learned, because you see, whenever we are sharing, so people share different experiences in different countries, and yeah, most of them were complimenting Africa, that most of the churches are still full. And yeah, when it comes to timing also, like our masses sometimes do take long. I remember one of our priest, a missionary priest, a friend of ours, went to work in Philippines, and he was telling us, Mass is only 30 minutes. And we were like, how does a Sunday Mass take 30 minutes? Our Mass that takes 30 minutes is the morning Masses, that we attend before going to work. But Sunday, we believe it's a day dedicated for God. It's dedicated for Masses. So we are not in a hurry when it comes to Sunday Mass. So we want to stay in church. We want to sing. You've seen the way we do sing, entrance, everything is being sung. So when he told us 30 minutes, I was like, wow, that is impossible. And even another priest also told me, oh, I'm going for Mass, I'll call you back. And then after like again 30 minutes, he was calling. I was like, no, Father, have you celebrated the Mass? And he's like, yeah, I've celebrated Mass. And I'm like, how many minutes does your Mass take? That our Mass can't go beyond 30 minutes. And I'm like, wow. And here for us, it's through 1.5 hours, 2 hours. The only time we have short masses are in the morning. Yeah, when we are the weekdays masses. Yeah, so another question that I will ask you, Father, is how does your community encourage its members to bring their holiness into apostolic work? Now, like you've talked about the projects that you your community is doing in Ecuador. Yeah, so how does that encourage? Because like if I come to work there, I should be like one of them.
The first rule is you cannot give what you have not received.
What you don't have.
And when we teach the lay members of our community, especially during our retreats, we try to fill them so that they really have something to share. Because when you yourself are empty, you will not be able to give something to the people you meet in daily life. Yeah. So the first step always is being filled yourself. The apostles and Mother Mary also had to spend 9 days in prayer before the Holy Spirit came on Pentecost. And only after that they were able to go out into the world and spread the faith. So the first step is getting filled yourself. The second step is look for opportunities that are adequate for your state of life to share the faith. I, before becoming a priest, worked in a big company in the office. And when I started to deepen my faith, of course, I tried to share my faith also with the other employees in that company. But in my jealous at the beginning, I sometimes did not find a good balance between doing my work well and talking with my colleagues about the faith. And here we come back to a topic that I already mentioned, fulfilling the obligations of your state of life. It's clear that when you have a work, that when you have a family, your time to do missionary work in the sense of speaking really with others about your faith will be limited. And you cannot neglect your obligations of the family and the working place here in spite of talking with people about the faith. But here it's important to remember that we can not only spread the faith with words. The way we do our work, the way we treat our family members, and especially the way in which we accept the difficulties in our life will speak often more than words to the people who are around us. And this is a very important part of the apostolic mission of the laity that I would like also to encourage the viewers of our program here today.
Yeah, that's very interesting. Yeah, something that you worked before joining the missionary. How was it quitting your job? I know you are being paid, a well-paying job, and then deciding, no, I'm leaving everything behind. I want to follow Christ. I want to consecrate my life to serving God. How was it?
It was maybe the most difficult phase of my life, that phase between encountering my vocation for this community, Communio Sanctorum, and actually starting the way of the studies and in the seminary. This period of transition was very, very difficult for me because I liked my job, I liked my colleagues, and leaving all that behind, was a difficult step. But I want to encourage especially the young people who listen to the program that it's worth the pain, because all I experienced in the last years on this way was so fulfilling, was such a great pleasure. And it's interesting how I can use some of my experiences of the time when I was still working now in my work as a priest.
Wow. That's very encouraging and interesting, because quitting your job and deciding, I want to consecrate my life, I want to go and serve Christ, it's really challenging. And that was a heart that had decided and a heart that was ready, and you felt like the call was very strong than even the money you are earning, than even the duties and responsibilities that you're doing. And we really appreciate your sacrifice, because leaving everything behind to go and be in the seminary, away from the family, away from the people that you love, it's a big sacrifice. And thank you for serving us.
But if God demands a big sacrifice, He also gives a great calling.
A great calling.
And we see this in many figures of Holy Scripture. For example, St. Peter, who is my favorite saint, yes, God called Jesus, who is God obviously, called him to leave everything, but he also did a big miracle, the catching of so many fish.
So many fish.
To really give Peter the strength to bring this sacrifice. So our call to holiness and our vocation, it's on many different levels. And God does not demand more from us that we can accomplish through His grace and through the gifts He has given us.
Wow. Yeah, it's a big sacrifice, I believe so. Yeah, and leaving everything behind to go and join the congregation, study, become a priest. So in your community, how many years does it take for one to be ordained to be a priest?
It depends on the situation, because the rules are different in every country. For example, here in Africa, it's common to first study 3 years philosophy and after that 4 years theology. But in Germany and Austria it's different. There it's mixed. During the whole time of the studies you got philosophy and theology at the same time.
At the same time, okay.
Yes. And it depends also if your superior demands a pastoral year or a year of preparation before entering the seminary. In my case, I was studying 6.5 years. And I was also doing, especially on the weekends, several pastoral activities. That's why almost simultaneously with ending the studies, I was ordained deacon. But after that, I was deacon a whole year. The minimum is 6 months, but I was deacon almost a whole year.
Oh, because you were carrying out different
It was even more than 1 year. Yeah, it was even more than 1 year.
Okay. Yeah, so what are apostolic priorities as defined in your congregation today? The priorities?
For us, the priority is to visit places where great suffering has happened.
Wow.
And this is why we have that house in El Salvador that I already mentioned, because there during the civil war in El Salvador in 1981, a terrible massacre happened where a whole village was wiped out by militia. And we said exactly in that place we want to build that house of perpetual adoration.
Wow.
And that's one reason why when thinking about the mission in Africa, we immediately thought about Burundi and Rwanda because of the history here with the genocide.
Exactly. Right, I see. Yeah, so what are the major pastoral or missionary challenges that the modern church faces today? What are some of the challenges?
I think it's the distraction of most people. In the modern world, the young people, but generally the whole of society faces so many distractions, such a flood of informations, and to communicate to the people, that there's one message that is more important than all the other messages that they are receiving, I think that is a great challenge for the missionary work of the church in our days.
Yeah, that is now including the secular life, secularization, that has also, and the global issues that we are facing in the world today. So I think those are part of some of the challenges. Now, how does the church maintain fidelity to tradition while engaging modern realities and technologies?
I think here it's important to distinguish between the message and the method of transmitting the message. The message itself is always the same. It's the gospel that Jesus Christ gave us.
Yeah.
But the method of transmitting that message can be adapted to the culture and to the time we are living in. For example, one of the priests of our community, he has a very big YouTube channel where he, in a way that is accessible for the youth, tries to spread the same message that already the apostles tried to transmit 2,000 years ago. And if in the modern society we want to share the good news of Christ, I think we have to use the methods, especially the social networks that we have in our times, but without compromising the message. Sometimes we can adapt the language, but without compromising in the content of what Jesus himself left us.
Yeah, so your congregation is only based in Germany? You are like the seminary, major and minor seminary?
Because we are so small, the main projects are in Ecuador, and one of our seminaries, he studies there in the seminary of Franciscan friars. And I studied in Austria in a seminary of Cistercienses.
Okay.
Yeah, so it depends on the circumstances and on the places we got our vocations. Because with 7 priests, we, at least not yet, have our own seminary.
Okay, okay, now I understand. So, you know, as we celebrate the Jubilee this year of 2025, how does this holy year renew the church's call to holiness and mission? Yeah, like in Rwanda, we'll be celebrating 125 years since the first missionaries, the white fathers, came to Rwanda to evangelize. Yeah, and the world is also celebrating the Jubilee here. Yeah.
The theme of this holy year is Pilgrims of Hope.
Pilgrims of Hope, yeah.
And this is a theme that is very closely connected to the topic that we discussed tonight, because mission means to be a pilgrim.
Yeah.
The missionary leaves his accustomed environment to be a pilgrim towards the people that still have not heard the fullness of the message of Jesus. So I hope that this holy year encourages many people to reconsider themselves as pilgrims. As St. Paul says, at the end, our final destination is not here on this earth.
Yeah.
We are members of the society of heaven. And let us be pilgrims in this holy year, pilgrims that bring the good news to others.
Yeah, I was in a country and they have a slogan that says, Pilgrims of Hope, we walk together in faith, if I remember very well. So as we come towards the end of this discussion, it has been very interesting. And I believe that our viewers has learnt a lot, and personally also sitting with you here, I've learnt a lot and some nuggets of wisdom, like being intentional and with everything that we do. So what kind of message of encouragement would you offer to Catholics seeking both holiness and mission today? Yeah, just in a few words. Yeah, a kind of encouragement that...
It's simply do not be afraid. That's what we read 365 times in Holy Scriptures. Don't be afraid. If God calls you, He will provide the means. That's my personal testimony. That was a little bit part of this conversation today. When the Lord calls you, do not be afraid to leave things behind. And at the beginning of our rule of life, it says, the yes to a great cause requires many no. And this is what being a missionary, being a saint means. Saying yes to one great thing and saying no to many small things that maybe are obstacles to this way. And I encourage the youth to go this way if the Lord calls you.
Yeah, your life is a testimony, and like leaving everything behind, that was a big sacrifice. Because I know most of the time joining seminary immediately after your high school, or it's easier than when you go out to the corporate world, start working, and then later on quit and go and join seminary. It can be challenging because you're used to earning money. So what is the final word that you would like to give to the youth, especially those who are searching for purpose in the modern world, and those who are unsure of the vocation they want? You know, there's a lot happening in the world today, and mostly the people who are endangered are the youth. So what advice would you give to the youth?
Yeah, you, the young people who are listening to these programs, you are hearing so many messages every day from so many distinct messengers, but all the world is offering to you compares nothing to what Jesus is offering you, because he is the only one who does not only make an offer, but also laid down his life for all of us, also for the people of our generation. And that makes his offer of following him, serving him, not all in the same way, but in different ways, as we discovered today in this program. And that makes this invitation worth following. And as I said, do not be afraid to accept this invitation, every one of you, in the way God calls.
Wow, thank you so much, Father Daniel, and thank you for even creating time to come to PACIS TV and sharing with us your life story and your congregation, a community that really is aiming towards bringing sanctity and mission to the lay people, and you know, making adoration our day-to-day life is something that we need to emulate. And thank you so much, and I believe that in God's time, your community will come and work with us in Rwanda, and we can't wait for that time. For our viewers who have been watching PACIS TV, thank you so much, and I believe that you've learned a lot from Father Daniel, who is our guest today from Germany. From his life story alone, there's a lot that we can learn about sacrifice and always not being afraid, because whenever God calls you, whenever God gives you a mission, he will always give you a way out of it, and that is something that I've learned today too. And also being intentional with anything that we do. The small things that we do for others, let us be intentional. I think there's a lot that we can share, a lot that we've learned, and I'm glad if you've been watching PACIS TV, I'm glad that you've learned something and you've carried something tonight. And thank you so much for watching PACIS TV. Keep watching PACIS TV for more and more inspiration and more about your faith. You will learn a lot. And this was your home show. I'm your host, Celestina War, and with me in studio was Father Daniel from Germany. Thank you so much. Until next Wednesday, keep watching PACIS TV.
Thank you.
PACIS TV, ta vie renouvelée en Jésus-Christ.